What up, your boy, MC Shadow, coming at you with another G Live right here, still in the San Fernando Valley. Still got a few more right here, but right here in this one, I'm gonna be doing San Fernando, Mission Hills, Granada Hills, Silmar, and yeah, just those cities. You know what I mean? So representing for those riders. So you know what I mean? So starting off.
You are now watching M.O.D. Entertainment. Make sure you subscribe and check out the playlist.
I grew up hearing gunshots in the late night. Ghetto bird, police sirens as a mother cries. Just another victim of the Soundbrown genocide. Locals posted, locked and loaded, ready to take lives. And when they heard the chieflet, they would duck up out of sight. Like your car when the sundown, it was mission time. You had to stay alert, cause bullets always travel blind. We stayed posted, we stayed drinking, and we getting high. Marchando down the enemy's neighborhood as we ride. Put the hood, put the clica sample, fuck their side. No regrets, but the truth is no peace of mind.
G-File.
Now, starting off with Varro Sanfed. Now, Varro Sanfed is one of the oldest gangs in the San Fernando Valley. One's known as Borrego Valle. Now, I don't know if Pacoima or Sanfed is the oldest gang. You know, some say Pacoima, some say it's Sanfed. I'm from either neighborhood to be debating that. But I do know that they've been around since the 1920s. And they deep, man. You know, they got like gang of cliques. You know, they run all of San Fernando, all of Silmar. You can catch them throughout both cities. More on Silmar than San Fernando, but in San Fernando you can find them right there where the San Fernando shopping center's at. So through those back streets on McClay, in Silmar, by Roxford, throughout those back ends is you could also find them on Pogue. Hubbard. You can find them just throughout all of Silmar and San Fernando. You know, they deep, they old school. They with the business, homie. You know what I mean? You definitely hear about Sanfed. They definitely put in their work. You know, people can't even say that, you know, that you don't. You know what I mean? Because you definitely hear about them. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they're one of the top 4 old school neighborhoods next to Pacoima, Barrio Van Nuys, and Sol Trece. You know, Sanfed, you know, be representing for, you know, right here for the San Fernando Valley, you know. They definitely got numbers, especially how they recruited the guys from Cyclones and the bad ones into their neighborhoods. You know, got a few homies from there. Shout out to the homie Smokey. Shout out to the homie Silent. Shout out to Solo. Shout out to Lil Solo. Yeah, shout out to Knuckles. Shout out to just all the homies from Sanford. You know, like, you know, all the real ones. And yeah, man, that's what's up right here with, you know, Varro Sanford. Here you have Astoria. Now, Astoria is right there, obviously in Astoria, where the apartment place is at. The Astoria Garden apartment plex is where their neighbor's at. The other neighborhood in Silmar, you know, mostly going at it with just Sanfed, you know what I mean? Because they're roughly the two gangs that, like, were born out of the city of Silmar. They always been a small neighborhood. You don't really see them or hear about them as much due to, you know, Sanfed, you know, having everything on lockdown. But nonetheless, you know, this is who they are, and, you know, right there representing. Now here at Shaking Cats. Now Shaking Cats is another neighborhood right there in San Fernando. Roughly a small neighborhood, but they were around since the late 70s, early 80s, going at it mostly with some Pacoima says, you know, Sanford and all of that. You know, you roughly don't see them up as much no more. They are in different parts of California, but this is where their midget clicks at. So the Shaking Cat midgets, you know, right there on Carl Street is where you find their neighborhood. You know what I mean? They, like I said, they always roughly been a small neighborhood out here. You know, but you know, if you do see it up or you do hear about it, that's who they are. You know, this is even though they're all over California, this is their birthplace right in the San Fernando Valley, and you know, right there, and you know, holding it down.
Now here you have Mission Hill Boys. Now Mission Hill Boys is a neighborhood right here in the city of Mission Hills by the cemeteries where you can find them. Been around since the 80s. They also have the Mission Hill Locals. You know, it's another clique. So Mission Hill Boys or Mission Hill Locals. You know, depending on the clique. Now it's one of the gangs right here in Mission Hills. Used to be the only neighborhood, but now, you know, you got the Valley Kings right here too. But Mission Hill Boys is the original neighborhood right here in Mission Hills. Like I said, it's been around since the 80s. They were large before. They kind of had died out for a little bit. But now I'm making a comeback right here. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, they've been right there holding it down in Mission Hills for a cool minute already, man. you definitely hear about them. I've been banged on by these guys a few times. You know what I mean. They're right there by the cemetery, or by almost close to Holy Cross Hospital too, on Rinaldi, so we can find them. Yeah, man, through those back ends is where this neighborhood be, and right there representing and holding it down. Here you have the Valley Kings. Now, the Valley Kings used to be a tagging crew that became a neighborhood. Homie told me that, yeah, they became a neighborhood. You know what I mean? So, they're not that old school. Tagging crew was only around since the mid 90s, early 2000s when they became a neighborhood. But nonetheless, man, if they active, man, you definitely hear about them. You definitely see their activity right here in Mission Hills. You know what I mean? Throughout this area, by the cemetery as well, by the freeway and all that, is where you see, the activity by them. And hey, looks like they be holding their own right here, man. It looks like right here representing it and putting it on the map, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's what's up with the Valley Kings. Now here you have Granada Hills DYP, the neighborhood representing Granada Hills, the original neighborhood right here in Granada Hills. Was around since the 80s. Some people think that it's not a neighborhood. I don't know why. But it is. I know back then it used to be like a party crew, but they became a neighborhood. They used to stand for, they stand for Delhi Young Players. But one of the now the ones that they like using too is Delhi Cyclones. It's how they write it, and it is a neighborhood. It is a real thing. I mean, I know people from here. Shout out to the homie Toker from there. Shout out to Güero from DYP, and shout out to Lazy from DYP. Firme Camaradas. You know what I mean? And they real, and they with the business. So they right there in Granada Hills, holding it down right there in Curry Street is where you can find this neighborhood. And yeah, DYP right there representing, putting it on the map for them. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's what's up with the Delhi Cyclones. Them Delhi Young Players right there. Here's another neighborhood in Granada Hills, is the Dead End Harpies. Now, the Dead End Harpies is obviously a gang in LA. Everyone heard of, the neighborhood that Conejo's from. Right here, is where the Wild Bunch clique is at. Now, the Wild Bunch, it used to be a tank crew over here. I know that Dead End Harpies had already a Wild Bunch. Don't know if these guys got into their neighborhood. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is where you find the Wild Bunch clique. They're large. They roam around the valley. You know what I mean? But Granada Hills is like where they originally were at. Because that guy Venom used to stay right there. The one that rapped with Conejo. And yeah, man, and they're putting it on the map. And yeah, that's where you can find the Dead End Harpies doing their thing.